So joining us next is Ron Routledge, and he is a cybersecurity consultant with Coda Security. Ron, could you tell us a bit about what your military background was?
Yeah, so I was in the Army in the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers for coming close to 14 years as a weapon systems engineer stroke armorer. So my career was entirely focused on like mechanical engineering, nothing cyber, nothing technical IT wise. But my career was cut short by medical discharge. I'd injured my back. It was an ongoing problem. So I rapidly had to look into different career path. So I saw there was a lot of people going towards cyber. I'm technically minded myself anyway, and always been somewhat of a geek, for want of a better word. You know, I really enjoy IT and computers generally, and it was something that I thought maybe I could turn my hand to. It was very different from what I'd done.
How did you even going from, being an armorer and in the REME to then, okay, so you've decided to, well, you've got to leave because of being medically discharged, and you set your sights on cyber. How did you get to where you are now as a cybersecurity consultant?
Well, if I'm quite honest, it was a lot of hard work. I had some time in hospital to sort of probe what might be good careers for me, but obviously the fields were quite limited with the back injury, limited mobility. That took all the engineering off the table and anything that I'd been previously suited to. So I was fortunate that I had some sort of like slight career mentorship from occupational therapists and things with suggestions. And they suggested growth areas, and cyber came up again, which was already in the back of my mind. Just because I've known other people whilst I was serving that were in those disciplines anyway, and were destined to end up on Civvy Street in those roles. So I started self-learning through, I think it was the likes of Cybrary. So I started trying to pick up the materials of Network Plus and Security Plus and just seeing how it stuck. I realized it was staying in there quite well. I've bumped into TechVets. Now I can't quite remember how I came across it, but once I was in there, like the wealth of knowledge that was just thrown at me from every direction. Any question I had, there was more than 10 answers to each one from different people in different areas and different fields. That was like a really valuable resource. And from there, I could get a steer on where it was in cyber that I might fit best, whether it be some sort of defensive role or offensive, or even sort of information security, like auditing and management kind of areas. But I realized early on that I was quite technical and hands-on. I did enjoy the hacking side of it. I enjoyed the finding vulnerabilities and breaking things down. So like from my mechanical mindset, I would look at things and sort of explode it in my head and see the working parts and how things connected. And that sort of applies really well to what I do in offensive cyber. But TechVets was absolutely the biggest tool that I've come across during resettlement. And from there, I knew that people from non-technical backgrounds could make it, albeit with a lot of hard work.
So did you use any specific courses or access to academies within TechVets to help you retrain?
So when I'd started into TechVets, there wasn't a huge amount that was on offer at the time, although now the offering is like insane. The courses and other things that James has pulled in, unbelievable. And I have taken advantage of a few little areas like along the path. I was fortunate enough to sort of be the guinea pig on a couple of little areas. And one in particular for me was the QSTM course. It was offered, a few days were offered free by PGI, who run the QSTM course. And then I had the option to pick up the final, I think it was 2 days and the exam for a discounted sort of rate. And off the back of that, that enabled me to qualify as a check team member, which meant that when I started with my new employer, I instantly started like a rung up, which had it not been for TechVets, that course would have been a £2,500 course, which would have been, I wouldn't say prohibitively expensive, because I was fortunate enough to have my medical discharge grant. But at the same time, I didn't want to just throw money away on the off chance of passing an exam. But because of the TechVets offering, that made it so much more accessible, and it's been a massive enabler for me. And I think I've attended other courses, but I can't remember them. Oh, actually, I did win a CompTIA Pen Test Plus voucher, an exam, but I had 2 weeks notice to study for it and take the exam. Nobody else put their hand up to take it, and I could sort of understand why. But in that 2 weeks, I was also studying for that QSTM course. So I had to prioritize which one I thought was going to be the best for me. So I went to QSTM. I still sat the Pen Test Plus exam and I passed it. It was totally unexpected, but these are things that I would not have had were it not for TechVets, and they've been massive enablers for me getting into cyber.
What advice would you give if you rewind the clock and you were to talk to either yourself during that year of resettlement or someone similar to you who is just thinking about pulling the trigger on leaving the army? What would be the kind of key piece of advice you would share with them?
Massively plan. Everything is just all about the planning. So like I say, with the medical discharge piece, I didn't really have a resettlement window other than just a bit of time to try and do some courses like in the evenings. But other than that, I was, being quite treated and things up until I was out. But again, I was lucky, like I say, I had a little cushion of money thrown my way at the expense of the spine. But if I'd had the full year's resettlement, I would say definitely plan, like focus on the area you want to live, find out what jobs are available. If you want to go and be, some like a SOC analyst, is there anywhere near where you want to live that has a SOC? Or if you want to work in pen testing, is there a company anywhere near you that can take you on? Or do you already have opportunities that are going to allow you to work from home? At the junior end, working from home is a luxury that you'd be lucky to find. Although it is a bit more common now, thanks to COVID. If there's one upside, it is that. But I didn't plan. I was lucky that I planned last minute and sort of weaved a bit of a web together. But if I could go back, I'd take easily a 2-year step back and start it all.
Thank you so much, Ron, for joining us tonight. I think your advice will be really valuable for a lot of people who are watching and listening.